the most important thing what I wanted to tell was in our profession, we would equate our entire patient relationship to something called an investigative approach. For example, a child cannot tell anything. There is any pain experience or anything. The maximum the child is going to cry. Probably the parents will tell some history, but is not going to be very related with the thing. So our job will be on parallel to the pediatrician. So this is a kind of investigative approach where you need to solve the case, know much of symptoms. Whatever said and done, the dog or cat is ultimately not going to eat. That's a main symptom that the owner is going to say. So we have investigative approach to diagnose the thing. Trust me, no two cases are the same.
I should start with a confession. I've never had a pet or never kept a pet in my life. So I've not had the occasion or the joy of interacting with veterinarians. But my son and daughter in law have a couple of kittens, and they have mentioned how hard it is to find a good vet to take care of their pets. We'll see how Dr. Barani's journey into veterinary science has been the defining aspect of his life. Understand what the career journey involves. Dr. Barani, great to have you on the show.
Good afternoon, sir. It's great to have you too.
Let's start with a simple question. The inspiration for your veterinary clinic, it's the ark. So is it from the legendary biblical reference, or did you have some other thoughts in mind?
People and clients who always have the same question like as you do, because every other clinic here will have either the veterinarian's name or either the pet's name or sometimes the area's name. For it could, an example, it could be a Thiruvanmiyur veterinary clinic or Chennai veterinary clinic. Dr. Rajesh's clinic, as you see in the north, you will see a lot of names and with their family names also. But we wanted to make a difference biblically, and the ark was the Noah's ark. Took all the animals that was actually in despair and
Torrential rain and storm, they finally saved a whole lot of it, which is what you do day in and day out. How did you get into veterinary science? Was it slow understanding, or is it something that you wanted to do and then ultimately found your way into it?
Before that, I would like to congratulate on your topic that you've been highlighting every week on my first profession. This is the essence of everybody's life, correct? Could be their passion or it could be their bread and butter. It's totally different, but the profession is very important. I wanted to be very honest with you all. So I never wanted to become a vet. Definitely a contradictory one, but it was way back on 89, 90 and 91, those period when we used to finish our 12th and we had marks, because I wanted to be a medical person. I wanted to be an internal medicine of medical specialty. But like everybody used to say, I missed that by 1.5 marks, because at that time we don't have system like this. It is purely on merit and marks. And so I had to opt either dentistry, agriculture, or veterinary science. I seriously didn't want to become a dentist because seeing the tooth every day and for years until life is not my actual passion. Agriculture, I wasn't much into it. I didn't know much. But veterinary science, yes, I had an inclination as a choice. Historically, my grandparents in my villages had goats and cows. And very interestingly, my parents, who still living in Kirvanur, but when they were in Tinagar on the main road, they used to have 3 cows. The Tinagar was supposed to be a hub of all business and every activity here, starting from those days, Nalli Silks and Pondivizar. I remember people coming from long distances shopping here. But my parents, I don't know why they had the inclination of having cows here. It was a sheer business loss, and it is like there is no model in it. The money they spent over the cows was tremendous, and the milk was very, very less. But they wanted to have natural milk. From that time, I was an acquaintance with animals, and then I got Doberman dogs too. One is Bruni and one is Pinto. And unfortunately, I lost one of the dogs during 91, 93. Yeah, I'm right. I used to get my dog to other veterinarians. They had a viral infection. Nobody could actually solve the case, and nobody could actually take him out. He died. At that time, I was very irritated on veterinarians because they couldn't save my dog. But in profession, even today, I get a viral case. I'm not able to do much because there is no antiviral access. So even though there are medical limitations, we do try to do our best. That journey started like that, and but when I joined veterinary college, I made myself involved in it. Towards the third, fourth year of curriculum, was very interested in clinics because I wanted to be a doctor, and so I used to stay with people who practice. And there's something called casualty. If you part of the medical field, that's a 24/7 emergency center. From fourth year, I used to be there almost every other day because I wanted to acquaint with cases and try to play the doctor job to make the dog all right. And invariably, we used to get a lot of animals there, not only dogs. It could be cats, it could be cattle, it could be elephants. Suddenly, you would see a snake from the Vandalur Zoo. Yeah, so we kind of.
How, if you can just tell us a little about how the course was structured, how is it anchored? What is the curriculum like? What do you learn first? What are you exposed to? And how does the course progress?
Fortunately and unfortunately, two sides of the coin. Our structure is a huge syllabus. A person who can pass out of veterinary science in 5, 6 years, stipulated, is very, very eligible for a UPSC exam. There's such a tremendous amount of the knowledge and the database on which they teach in the first 3 years of basic sciences. It will start from statistics. Because I hated maths, I didn't want to come into the engineering side. But on the veterinary side, I mean, to my shock, the first year I had statistics, and honestly, I didn't do good. I just passed, that's all. Then biochemistry, physiology, anatomy, and we study species by species. For example, if a human doctor is studying, let us say, a palm, the hand of a human being, so he will have the entire anatomy, physiology, disease concepts, everything of the particular palm. As veterinarians, we see the palm of the dog, cat, horse, fowl, that's a poultry, and then the wild species. So it's called a comparative anatomy. That's why the subject becomes huge and huge, humongous. Then finally, we become a master of all trades. Like,
How do you manage to retain all this? It must be quite a job memorizing some of these things and diagnosing it. And
during 1980s to 1990s, the term veterinary profession was supposed to be a very cumbersome subject. If you, I don't know, people have heard of something called AMIE and all that courses in engineering. Yeah, so they were very, yeah, they're kind of supposed to be very tough. The other name for that was appearing many times in examination. Like that, I used to know my seniors who've been studying for God knows 11, 12 years. People used to come from Nigeria internationally. I remember still, they'll be like real fathers and big personalities in kind of age factor, and they'll be studying in the second year, third year class along with us. But now it's been refined, and people have started lot of education because of all this technology and all. And yeah, there are two sides of the coin. Fortunately and unfortunately, we know lots and we do not lot. No, that's the thing. So we are not concentrated on one particular factor.
right. Do you have anything that you remember from those days as to one particular case, something that a lecturer said, something that helped you, sort of anything that comes to mind from the early days of education and anecdotes that you remember?
Yeah, lots. See, those times the professors were kind of unique, and they have a pattern. Like when they enter the class, the whole class stands up for till and wait for him to say sit down. So those were the days. And but now when I enter the class, nobody stands up also. So I'm a professor, and it is all the other way. So those times when our professors used to teach, it will always be with anecdotes and examples of cases. So especially emergency cases where we had. I would remember a case where the puppy, it's a new puppy, and you know how it goes in. I think if you get a puppy yourself, you'll feel that it is going to be a part of your family, and for the first 3 months, it is going to be joy everywhere. So everybody returning from office, homes, and whatever work, where the puppy goes and dies on them and shows full love, and they are fine with the dog on their sofa, dining table, whatnot, everywhere, bathrooms. But point is, as the dog grows and people get slowly, kind of irritated by all the actions the puppy does. That's what human psychology is. After 1 year, they'll say, "Don't come into my bedroom." But the dog does not understand, right? So now this puppy actually swallowed a diamond ring.
My God.
Yeah. So The lady, like husband and wife who wanted to have, the wife didn't want to have a puppy. The husband wanted to have a puppy plus the kids. So the wife was totally against dog racing, hair, and the dog entering home. When she found out that a diamond ring was missing, and they rushed to the clinic, and I remember the X-ray was taken where we can see the diamond ring in the stomach. It was a slightly a bigger version, so it wouldn't pass the duodenum. That means it was just stuck there in the stomach. So we gave them options, like the anecdotes on they gave them options of surgery if the ring does not pass out through the poop for the next 3 days. So they agreed to that because diamonds have a very sharp edge. You can never say, sometimes they can cut through the.
That's what I was thinking. It can cut through the, yeah.
Yeah, but the owners, they, once they actually calculated the surgery cost and all the headache there, they actually wanted to wait for the thing to come out because. So yeah, so the funniest part was the wife who hated the dogs was almost 24/7 behind the puppy for the next 3 days, and because the puppy would anytime poop the ring off, correct, and it had quite a kind of restrained space for the walking. Like if you see in Chennai, most of the VVIPs, if you've seen, they have special permission to go on walks on certain parts of the boat club, certain parts of the governor's bungalow. Like that, the puppy was taken for special walks, and everybody was having gloves in their hands and digging up the poop. Talking about 5 times a puppy actually poops badly. 5 times into 3 days, it was more than 15 times. Then finally, we had to give an enema to take it out normally. Uh, yeah,
And the poor guy would have been under so much of pain, right?
yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, no. Fortunately, the puppy never showed any signs at all. There's not even a vomiting.
My God.
Yeah, so it's very strange.
Ring stuck inside them and didn't show any signs.
Very strange. These dogs, they have so much of the physiological processes by nature that they can actually, kind of take care of certain things. Like you see a stray dog on the road that eats everyday chicken biryani with staples in it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
People,
It can't, it can't separate.
correct. So they cannot separate the staples staples and the biryani. So that's how they go. Yeah, so that I thought that will be a best anecdote because I will forget that.
That's an amazing story because this is not something that you expect to hear about, right? Okay. So let's say 5 years later, you pass out of college, decide that. So, what were your, once you passed out of college, what were the things that you had in mind? What were the options that you were considering?
The most important thing what I wanted to tell was in our profession, we would equate our entire patient relationship to something called an investigative approach. For example, a child cannot tell anything, there is any pain experience or anything. The maximum the child is going to cry. Probably the parents will tell some history, but is not going to be very related with the thing. So our job will be on parallel to the pediatrician. So this is a kind of investigative approach where you need to solve the case, know much of symptoms. Whatever said and done, the dog or cat is ultimately not going to eat. That's a main symptom that the owner is going to say. So we have investigative approach to diagnose the thing. Trust me, no two cases are the same. This is actually what pursue my postgraduate in medicine allied with veterinary science. Then my PhD was in again medicine. So that was the part where I was actively involved in cracking the case out of investigation.
So, how would you follow an investigative approach? Can you give me an example? You can just give us 2 or 3 instances of what tells you that this could be a possible reason.
Yeah, very comically, we would associate certain cases, owners, and the veterans. We have a small team along with something called our Doctor House episodes. Have you seen those?
Yeah, Dr. House, yes.
So typical scenario, he used to send some persons for investigation behind the patient's property. Very small examples are like I had a case which was typically vomiting for a long time and nothing definitive could be concluded in the blood test and the X-ray. everything was clean. Then I asked them to shoot a video of their environment where they had recently done manuring and planting over that herbicides and the insecticide sprays, which was not there before a week. They showed me a video of their environment. I could see new potted plants, and I asked them when it was done. And then slowly we investigated, and there was one person who was spraying these plants every day with the chemicals.
Oh,
We eliminated them, then the dog starts the vomiting stop. Most commonly, we have patients with who are on a lot of drugs, including the antibiotic, diabetic drugs, the anti-BP drugs, the routine ones. There might be a kidney patient who is taking immunosuppressants. Now, all these tablets are on the table, so it's never safe handed. We have a lot of cases where accidental ingestion of these tablets, where the client didn't open up, but we would know after a distinctive investigation.
it's amazing how, like you said, no two cases are the same, but you have to start from some point and you have to notice that there is a difference and pay attention. I never knew that. I think you brought in some lovely perspectives about one, that imagine that this is from a pediatric angle, the other the investigative part, because it's almost as if it's cut and dry, the dog. But like you said, the dog can't say it, the owners can't tell you, they can only present saying that, okay, this is the symptom, and how do you figure out what's happening? Your time in casualty, the one that you spent, what are the kind of cases that you saw there? And
Okay, couple of cases I can recall. There was one cow that was actually presented with difficulty in birth. It's called dystocia. So the milkman had recently purchased before a couple of months, and then normal calving time, the cow found out some difficulty, and so he brought it to the casualty. The first we guys were trying to. The term is called dystocia. That is difficulty in birth. I don't know if you've seen it. It's very difficult part of the veterinary gynecologist to actually take the calf out without complications to the calf and the mother. It is not like in a human grounds, they have 10 people around, and they do a CS and you can take a review. We were actually trying to take this calf out. After 15-20 minutes, it was very difficult, and I had help. I was there alone. There are different specialties in veterinary science now. Like, I am a general medicine guy. I was posted in the casualty, but I am actually not very professional in taking the calf out. But I need to attend the case. Plus, I could get help from the my seniors and the professors. But I had to do it. After 20 minutes, I had, I think, zero glucose in me because everything was drained. We were trying to pull out the calf. This owner then, who was holding the calf, just left away. We were searching for him for half an hour. He was never found out. Then finally, my attenders found out that already he was talking to the other people on slaughtering the cow.
my goodness.
So he was talking in terms of money, on negotiating on how much the cow should be sold to. Then what happened was, at that time I actually called up my seniors. Then that time we don't have any Google videos to refer upon. So we called them up, and they gave us instructions from a different place. We kind of sedated the cow, and there was something called a breech presentation that we need to rectify inside the womb, turn the up correctly. Then we have some anchors that could, the eye orbits. Those are the place to actually pull the calf through. So we have so-called gadgets. We can actually put it in the eye without causing a problem into the eye orbits, and we restrain. We actually pulled the calf out live over a period of 2 hours.
This took 2 hours to do.
Yeah. By then, 5 or 6 people had already come to find. They all left after seeing the. So, like, this is the big difference between a cattle owner and a dog owner. So
These are the way medicine or veterinary science, like you said, is practiced. It's almost like it becomes a transactional thing as far as the farmer's concerned. Yes, there is concern for the well-being and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's about saying, okay, this should not be a complete loss or something. So it's hard not to be judgmental, but I guess they have their own compulsions for doing what they do.
and that I've seen, not only me, a lot of veterinarians actually are taken aback by this decision by the owners. That's sometimes very hurting.
It is. And especially when that cow has been part of the household. So whatever you say at the end of the day, like you said, you started off with your parents who had 3, and even if they didn't give much milk or whatever, it was always part of the household.
Yeah.
As something that you look. And so to see this would obviously be very distressing. What about your experiences with wild animals, which is even more difficult because as it is, they are so terrified of humans, and humans are not somebody things that they come across. How do you even begin to deal with animals which are?
So wild animals, they have their own specialists. It's called a wildlife vet. So they actually specialize in medicine, the course called wildlife medicine and surgery, and that's how they are put. But as you rightly said, in the area of casualty, you have to be a master of all subjects. You cannot expect anything. So yeah, once we had a snake, it's a 12-foot python. It had some. It's called a ball axis. That is, they cannot move much because there is a lot of ball-like abscesses inside their whole tummy, and they become sick. That's a disease by itself. So that's the first time I'm actually handling a python, and it was a nightmare. The snakes, they have a tendency to just crawl very slowly, and if they want to actually curtail you or want to restrain you, they can do it easily. Nobody can stop them. It was scary. Then we admitted the python, and we got specialists and all. Likewise, wild animals, like you're right. We used to get monkeys which are strapped by people. So most commonly, it's a kind of a wire that is around the neck, and it has been tightened up so badly, and the monkey actually escapes from the hunter or whatever, and then they can't remove it because it's just knotted with the steel wire. So the steel wire slowly gets cut through the neck muscles and all day by day and causes abscess. And I got a case like that, which we had to anesthetize completely and surgically remove it. So the monkey was fine after a week. Some of the cases I do remember. And you guys are okay with the latest COVID. We had to rush up to treat the COVID line. That was really clean. Yeah. So uh, you want to hear about that?
The lions tested positive for COVID when you.
So we had some 12 lions tested positive for COVID. The lions come under a family called cats, CATS, big cats.
Right. Okay.
Actually, felines. So, like how a cat gets COVID virus, the lions can also get a COVID virus. So, like one of the zookeepers had COVID and he passed on to the lion. So we had 12 lions that were positive for COVID, and we needed to treat them. It took us 1.5 days to actually organize a treatment for them because you cannot restrain them. They are horribly aggressive. Plus, they are sick. We had different gadgets, and in fact, some of the major things we did here, which nobody does throughout the world, is we actually pull the lion's tail through the cages. We have people for that, and we connected something called the huge bore cannulas that we use for humans. Let us say for a dialysis or any other procedure. So those cannulas were collected in the coccygeal vein of the tail, bandaged good, and we had given medications every day through the bore cannulas. That was quite interesting.
And all of them recovered. They all.
No,
They were.
3 of them died.
Okay.
Died, and the others recovered. And it is like they get you into the. Now, these COVID enclosures are totally different. It's not from the normal zoo. They are in a different place. So they took us there by a vehicle. And, remember those days we had to wear full COVID suits during the hot sun, and we can't breathe also. Accessing, to hold a particular thing will be very difficult because you're entirely gloved.
Yeah, the gloves will slip as well, right? It's hard to get a grip.
Yeah. So the zookeeper was also, equally dressed with the COVID suit. So handling the animals is very difficult. And I still remember, like the first day I entered the cage, there were 2 lions. When they coughed, I was like shocked, and it was totally scary. The coughing is like a human being coughs like during a COVID. It will be 1,000 times more than that. Even the sound of the cough was pretty scary for the first 2 days. Then I got used to it.
But I'm saying, as it is, people during COVID were not getting out of their houses, and here you were trying to wrestle with lions in the peak of that whole. Were you vaccinated at the time?
Yes, we were vaccinated, but you know what happens? Even vaccinated people got it. So my entire family was against me going there and treating lions because you don't know what happens. So zoonotic guinea. So I yeah, while out of 13 to 14 vets, only three of us volunteered because everybody was scared, correct? But there's a different experience by itself. It's like I felt like I felt that you were a COVID warrior during that time.
No, but hats off to you, doctor, because at a point when the whole world was worried about the the amount of people who are falling victim to COVID, you actually found within you the power to heal a lion which is inflicted with COVID and actually managed to save quite a few of them. Because these are the stories that never make it to the media because they don't talk about these things at all. The statistics are all about human interest stories, whereas this is okay, a lion died because of COVID and that's it. But
No,
like you said, that yeah, this is really what differentiates. So
yeah, at the same time, there was, I mean, COVID spread in the one of the Bronx zoos in the US. So, no, what they did, they just isolated the lions and nobody went near the lions for 20 days
my God,
because they didn't want to take a risk.
yeah,
So,
you can.
the risk died. Here we wanted to treat them. Yeah.
Wow. No, I mean it's so hard to. Yeah, I guess people will have their reasons and they have very valid reasons for not going into the whole thing, but to show the kind of empathy that you did and for so few people to know about this, I really hope the people who watch this understand. There's this whole. I used to read these books when I was young about Gerald Durrell, this veterinarian who. Gerald Durrell's books, All Things Bright and Beautiful, All Creatures Great and Small. It was a vet in an English village. And that seemed like an idyllic kind of life. It was one of those things where the only thing was waking up early in the morning, the cold and things like that. But what you're giving me is primal. It's almost as if, I can't even begin to imagine the kind of experiences that you have had. And it's not as if you'll expect gratitude in return, or you'll expect that the animal doesn't even know what is happening. And here you are after practicing veterinary science for what, 30 years now almost. And
Yeah, I could almost 22 years. Yeah.
wow, hats off to you, doctor. I mean, it's wonderful to talk to you and to just understand the depth of what it means to. There's one thing that people talk about in terms of a commitment to a career. And in most cases, the commitment to a career is staying up late in the office. And it's not, it's not about these kind of things where, yes, your mind is utilized. But here it's like a combination of so many things. It's the mind is being utilized, the body, you have to diagnose, you have to treat, you have to figure out what is available and then still do it. So each one of these. So, okay, let's move on to something which is a little lighter. I think we've gone on to pretty heavy. What happens when you see the dogs and cats, and how do you manage them, the urban owners that you happen to see on a regular basis?
Oh my God. Now, if you, yeah, there seems to be, I don't know how many people, yeah, are going to listen to this, but with, I'm talking about pet parents, but the craziest, what I have noticed for the past, I would say 10 years is that, those days of the dog taking care of the owner have gone. So now- Completely the other way. If you see the owner's perspective of treating the dog, feeding the dog, and as part of the family, yes, agreed.
Right.
I think there should be a line, a demarcation on how to balance both, but it is slowly gone to the other side. Now, you won't believe we have had handful of divorce cases because of the pet. Now, it is like straight away, you want me or the dog? Yes, it's obviously the dog, not you. And they have,
My goodness.
yeah, they kind of find this unconditional love from the pet and which they don't find from the opposite side, obviously. So Now, the dog has become an integral part of the family, and it's more than that now. People have gone into making more for these pets and not having pets as pets. So it's become one step earlier, more, and people are trying to do more than they can do. If you notice, out of, let us say, household, a row of 10 houses that have dogs, I would be surprised that none of them actually bark at a stranger. The breed select that only is basically like Labradors and, is, but fine, even labs are, once upon a time, they're barking at strangers, but now it's totally gone. They have built their own compound cage, kennel systems. You take all integrated camera, surveillance, everything for the dog.
Yeah, yeah. And it's crazy about some of the exotic species which are brought into, environments which should not be. I mean, I've seen a husky here in Chennai, which I think is crazy for the dog, right? You can't be surviving in a tropical climate for a dog that is used to the Arctic or something which is very.
The best part is it's been banned by the government, but it's still in use, and it's not a wise thing. They cannot. Most of the huskies don't survive more than 5-6 years here because.
So, what do you think is happening, Doctor? Do you think that this has become more of a, like you said, the love for the dog has become more of a kind of a status symbol rather than a genuine affection for the species? Or is it simply that, look, I can flaunt my car or I can flaunt something else, I can flaunt my dog?
Yeah, the status symbol, yes, it's been there for historically. Dogs have been status symbols also, not only now. Like if you go to the Middle East now, like last time I went, I could actually see one person raising penguins in the middle of desert. He's invested so much of money to build a small Arctic or Antarctic or whatever you say within, say, 2,000 square feet for the birds. So likewise, they have fancy cheetahs and leopards because they don't know where to spend the money. Likewise, in India, we have status symbols. People always think that imported dogs, the fancy ones, are always, yeah, better, which is actually not the case.
So, veterinary science in India, and how does it compare to the rest of the world? What is it that you have seen, and how would you make an assessment?
See, for a long time, veterinary science in India has been, slowly accelerating. You still have to do a lot of things. Whereas when you compare abroad, anywhere in the Europe or the US, the scenario is totally different. Now, point is, almost all the dogs and all the pets abroad are insured medically. So they are sometimes they have the medical insurance. So you want the best of the best to be done to your pet. Right? All the costs, even though they're higher, they get actually reimbursed by the insurance company. So, but here we don't have the concept of insurance in dogs. I guess even in humans, it's slowly taking. In humans, will take. If you ask your friends, they would have invested lots in life insurances. Like what happens after you die? What is the big difference in whether we get 1 crore or 1 rupee or 1,000 million or 1 million after you buy? These people never let the people having a proper mediclaim insurance for their health. Such is whereas in abroad, I think life insurance is bit lower, but they're more medically insured. So the paying capacity of the owner for particular diseases, everything depends on, like, if a person from the US or Europe who's finished his DVM or his veterinary science there, he practices in India, so it's very, very difficult.
Right.
Yes. Very.
So you're now a professor at the veterinary college. What is your view of the people who are entering the profession now, and what is it that they seem to be thinking about, and what do they want to do with their lives?
Okay, honestly, I would say somewhere around 10 to 15% of the students who join now are seriously interested in veterinary science. I think the rest of the students are like me who didn't want veterinary science and they ended up here and all that. But averagely, I've been seeing students, they have a long vision nowadays. They've been very clear on their future. For example, if you ask a 14 student on what they want to do, they will say, I want to do a PhD in microbiology.
Right.
So they have almost 15 years left, but they're actually trying to make hold of the target. That's good actually. So some of them go on to veterinary science, some of them want to go into civil services, and some of them want to go into government jobs. So they're at the level of third, fourth year, they're very concentrated on their objective.
Okay. Okay. And what do you think is the temperament of what is the ideal? Like you said, it's not because you like animals or something that you got into it. But what do you think in order to be a good veterinarian? What is the kind of temperament that you ought to have? The investigative part was, now that you mention it, it's obvious. But when you first brought it out, I thought it was a wonderful way of showing what are the things that qualities that are innate that you need to have.
Yeah, so the like we talk about temperament in dogs. Now, sir has brought up the temperament in vets, the topic. So yeah, you have to have all qualities of a proper psychiatrist to begin with. You'll have to have the patience to listen to what the owner is saying. For example, you were asking what happened. So the owner starts from 5:30 in the morning. So it's going to be 50 minutes of a consultation wait, but you need to just sit straight and listen to them. Whether they are going to say the correct history or not is a different question. So patience, I say the first thing, the temperament wise, and number two is should have the inquisitiveness to take this animal out of the pain. So that should be our objective.
Right.
So you'll have to be very, very sound in subjects, and you'll have to be very, very sound in differential diagnosis, the way of how you use gadgets and how you interpret X-rays, ultrasounds, and scans. So that will concentrate on the subject. And the third thing, you need to be actually brave because there's going to be a really, really fierce dog that come into your clinic, and you need to do some treatment. So you have to physically pull and push. See, even the attenders are humans, correct? Only we cannot expect everyone to be brave. So but for the client, if you're not going to be brave, he's going to go to another vet. So
What is the so what are the techniques that you have learned? How do you handle a very fierce dog? What are the ways in which you try to calm them down? And you have to establish some kind of a way of you know
we have some
you
he has some gadgets which can actually help in controlling dogs. But point is, for everything we need a collar, we need a leash, and we need somebody to pull, push, and we have something called a sedative
right.
that works out very, very good. But even for the sedative to be given, it's a mode of injection. So my idea of approach is more than the dog, the owners will be seriously panicked. The dog will be keep on barking at 1 decibel, and over that, the owners will be shouting. So it creates a big commotion. So what I do is quietly as I ask them to wait on the reception. So that actually clears 90% of the job.
So what you say is in most cases the owner is the problem, not the animal.
Yeah, I cannot tell that exactly out of the horse's mouth, but actually yes. See, like if you could get your kid, I'm sure when your young parents and our they keep on crying, we don't know what to do, we're very panicked, we take to the hospital, and for example, the doctor wants to take blood,
Right.
he first asks us to wait outside. Yeah, because it's very difficult handling both of them. But more than the pediatrician here, a veterinarian's job is seriously very, very cumbersome when tackling with the owners, shouting owners and the barking dogs.
Okay.
So we'll one. So it's kind of experiential learning. There's no textbook that will say that because but it's just all this management and it's not. It's more of psychological science. And before even you can ask this question, I'm going to talk about cats
Right.
because
Cat was on the list. Yes. Please tell me that.
oh, cat was like hurt me. So very difficult. So what we do? Most of the cats treat are inpatients. We ask them to admit the cat. We take a list of the history. We actually say goodbye, bye over the reception, then come back, take a serious look of the cat and treat the cat or not. That's the only way it works.
Okay. So do you find exotic species in the cats as well, or is that you get more of the normal look?
Some of the cats down the lane called Bengal cats. Have you seen them?
No, I haven't. I don't.
This I think they're more artificially made for this kind of indoor.
Oh,
They you should see them. It's like a mini tiger or a mini leopard.
my goodness.
The Martu.
Much larger than the normal cat is what you're saying, Bengal cats.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I haven't. I haven't seen that.
That is one of the so-called exotic species that's recently come in. And other ragdoll cats, Persians. Persians, if you take left and right, now all middle income groups, if you see towards the northern side of Chennai, people who live in thatched roofs, so-called slums, they have Persians. And people, and very lucky lower wealthy who couldn't afford something called a Lamborghini are starting to have pugs. It's just and so-called Shih Tzus. And the invasion is Chinese invasion is into these pet practice also. So it's
Not just in the, not just in the mobile
yeah,
phones. Okay.
they keep you a pug and they give you 100 accessories to the pug, all shiny.
But that image that you drew of the Persian cat in northern Chennai in a thatched hut is an exact inversion of the James Bond movies, now where the villain used to stroke the cat in the den, the Persian cat, and here it is the exact different environment.
Now, like every other house, you got a Persian. It is like it's like 15 to 20,000 per kitten, but they still afford that.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So that is one of the things. I think you must have also seen the uptick in the cat food and the dog food and everything else that people are now, there's a complete industry around that.
When these industries come into play, they have a very good understanding. They have a team who does R&D on this economics and how viable is it. So more than they spend on medical part or the veterinary doctor part, they do spend humongous on accessories. So any colorful accessories hanging, they'll immediately think of the dog. And any any person from the US will try to bring some attractive accessories for even if it is available here, that's not a problem. It is a huge $1 billion industry.
Yeah. And I guess that's the other part that these days people are looking at, they lavish a lot of attention and love on their pets because it's one of the things that they can do. Like you said, cats and dogs used to just grow up at home and be fed scraps from the table. But these days that has changed completely. The whole the thing which is there. Where do you think this is going? How do you see this? How has your practice changed in the last 10, 15 years? You've seen these changes.
Honestly, good for us because we do good practice. We do, it's not much of the money involved. We're able to read lots. For example, you get a vague breed. I need to read about the breed to take care of the breed. So it keeps us updating. Like I said, no two cases are going to be similar. Otherwise, like if you take a diabetologist, he will have a minimum of 40 cases per day, in the queue. And if seriously seen him working, it is terrible. So he will not examine the patient. He will not stand up. Maximum, he will have a pen and a paper. He'll just jot down everything. For everybody, it is going to be the same exercise and idli, upma food. Okay. But our case is slightly different. The veterinarian is, if he actually enjoys the profession, it is actually very good.
Right. Right. No, the variety that you're talking of is phenomenal. Okay. So do you still attend cases for farm animals and things like that? That is part of or you don't find the time these days?
We concentrate on only companion animals, that is dogs and cats.
Dogs and cats, right?
Mm.
Okay. Okay. And the other thing, like you said, in rural, there are doctors now, veterinarians who are specifically meant for wild animals, and there are those who look at the more, let's say, the commercial, whether it's cattle or chicken, or there's a separate this thing for that, or is it?
Now, there are separate vets for poultry. For example, the complete vaccination programs, they deal with all diseases, post-mortem and all. And it's again a huge industry by itself. Like, to that if you're going to actually show him a dog which is suffering from fever or vomiting, he cannot actually diagnose much on that. And I think that it's a reverse. If you ask me about poultry, I don't know much. I know the basics, but not much.
Okay. Okay. No, it's nice. Like you said, the companion animals, there's almost like there's a whole set of things which come in, which is very clearly. What about birds? Do people have pet birds which are not very.
Yeah, that is again. I think after the COVID, people have started to raise a lot of pets, because now if you see post COVID, we've seen very huge increase in the Shih Tzu breeds which have come, and there are small breeds that can be raised in the flat. And exotic birds, they start off from African parrots to budgerries to all colored birds. But that is an offense. It's not very legal that people breed them and have in cages. So when I get a case of all these colored birds in a cage, I will very quietly advise them to release off near the zoo or in a forest area. I will up to them, and it has happened also. It's not fair in curtailing a bird and treating that, and it never works like that.
Wow, this has been quite a journey, Doctor. I think it's an hour, and I've not known it fly past because you. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. Thank you for sparing the time and for giving us a glimpse of such a different life, because one tends to think of vets as having very genteel, quiet, but the way you've depicted it is something where you're learning something new every day. And the contrast between the owners and the pets, the the way life itself has changed over the past 20, 30 years, and how pets have come into the family and brought about a massive change even within family ties. Okay, thank you for sparing the time. And what is your advice to people who are looking to join or get into veterinary science? What would you ask them to be most prepared for?
Yeah. So I have been having a lot of people and students, relatives, friends, friends, sons and daughters who always want like animals. They are, towards not like an animal activist, but they are fond of animals. But that actually qualify for to become a veterinarian. So, like, I have asked them to come to the hospital, just be with it for 1 or 2 hours, see what we do, what we work. Then I think most of the people change their minds. Yeah. So only people who have strong heart, and if they see diseases, for example, you see a dog with fits 20 times per day, but you need to treat them. You don't have to be an animal lover for that. You just have a conscience and go into the treatment. So I'd say. And I would definitely encourage kids to join veterinary science because it's a different profession. And as you know, end of the day, any profession, it is how you take it up and how you put it forward.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you for sparing this time and giving us such a deeply felt, experienced, and compassionate glimpse of the kind of life that you have led, Dr. Parnida. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for the acts of grace that I don't think people are seeing. You're really managing the arc. And the sad part is that there aren't too many people who see what's actually happening. Thank you for what you do.
Yes, thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
That was Dr. Bharanidharan, and what an experience it has been to understand the life of a veterinarian, which we think by reading some of the books and bestsellers that they are gentle, easy professions. But like he said, spend time in a clinic, not as an owner, but as the doctor, and understand what is really involved in pursuing a career in veterinary science. Next week, we'll have a group of youngsters. We're planning to do this on a monthly basis where we talk to 3 young people who are setting out into their careers and then decide what is it that they want to do from here on. Next week, see you once again.